Hey, you! Run to Wendy's and grab a strawberry Frosty. Don't worry about canceled plans. It's work.
Come on, man. Excuse me while I whip this out.
42 minutes after 10 o'clock in the neighborhood, and we welcome Aaron Gleeman at Aaron Gleeman via Twitter, and he covers the Minnesota Twins for The Athletic and theathletic.com. And the squad is back in action this evening down Tropicana Fieldway, taking on the Tampa Bay Rays after getting meatloafed by the punchless Cleveland Indians, who actually scored a couple of runs, at least one of the games. And Aaron joins us now. And the A topic for the purpose of this first segment, if you don't mind, is A, good morning.
Good morning.
B, you left me on red the other day.
I did?
Yeah, you left me on red, and it does.
About what?
Well, I know as the
I might have been sleeping.
techie protocol goes, that you don't call. Aaron doesn't talk on the phone. But then I sent, in the evening where I was sure you were up watching watching the same thing I was, and then I sent this text that I thought you would think was funny. Left me on red.
I think this will ruin my reputation as America's bad boy, but I think I was sleeping at 11:30 on a Saturday.
Well, the text was Jeremiah Estrada of the Cubs is low-key my new Andres Munoz.
But what about Andres Munoz? You've given up on him? He's still alive?
No, it's
You're adding to your stable.
It's the pitching-related epiphany or the pitching, like the revelation you have.
Yeah.
Like Jeremiah Estrada. I'd never heard of him. He comes out of the bullpen for the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it was Saturday. That's right. It was Canterbury Park Day. So I'm home a little later. Here comes the $26 Taco Bell order. I'm going to settle in. I've paid for extra innings for like 3 years, past what I thought I would pay for it, even though I'm not watching Dave Sims.
Yeah, the old auto renewal.
Auto renewal.
Gets you every time.
God rest the soul of the soul of Vin Scully, which is the original reason I got it. But then now, like these Giants games with John Miller, I mean, that's revelatory in its own way.
I met him the other day because they were here at Target Field.
Wow.
And he must have been doing this for 40 years, 50 years now at this point, right? Because when I was a kid, he would do Sunday Night Baseball with Joe Morgan, I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's terrific.
Great. He was very nice.
Now, I don't know if the San Francisco Giants at Pac Bell, it's called Pac Bell, right?
I don't even know. They're on like their fifth name, but it used to be Pac Bell.
When they were at Candlestick, and this is mid-'90s, where I'm a racetrack announcer at a couple of tracks in Northern California. I don't know if they made history, but it was like massive when they hired a lady to be their public address announcer.
Yeah.
And it was I was definitely living in the Bay Area. So, I mean, it's like they've had cool, innovative, different ideas.
And they have the ball dudes, which are the instead of kids, they have elderly gentlemen tracking down the foul balls, which is great. They just sit on a stool down the first and the third baseline, and then they go chase after the foul ball.
Remember how cool it was initially when it was Pac Bell Park and the kayaks in what would be the
McCovey Cove is what they call it, but I don't know what the actual body of water is.
San Mateo Bay,
whatever.
I can't remember.
But the other day, like within last week, was the 100th lifetime ball hit into that for a home run.
Wow.
And they were out in the kayaks, and a guy paddled up to it, grabbed the ball, and I don't remember the number, but
they had to stop it for a minute because there were too many kayaks.
Yeah, well, during Bonds' home run chases. And I don't remember the number. Somebody can look it up and maybe tell us. But like out of the 100 hit into the Cove in the 20 years, it was like 87 of them were Barry Bonds, and then like 13 random ones. But yeah, that was they definitely did that ballpark right.
It's unbelievable.
I feel like
now the Warriors play right next to it.
Well, that's true. I mean, Oakland is about to lose everything, essentially. Although now the Vegas deal with Oakland, I just read something before I came over here that the Vegas, I don't know if it's the legislature or whatever, city council basically said, nah, we're not giving you guys this much money.
Are you kidding me?
Like they wanted initially like $600 million, then it was $360 million, and I think that got rejected.
For like a 30,000 seat ballpark, right?
Something like that. On the Strip, like at the far end of the Strip, I think, where there's just nothing right now, I guess. But yeah, it's, I don't know what they do because Oakland's ownership has essentially pulled like a major league and has gutted the team. I mean, they're on pace to be like literally the worst team in the history of the American League.
Wow.
And there's nobody going because it's a lame duck franchise at this point. So I don't know what they do if Vegas isn't the destination next year.
Yeah.
Like then they just, tail between their legs, go back to Oakland and have no one show up at their games. So I don't know.
So they've gutted the team because this.
Oh, they're terrible. They're on pace for like 130 something losses.
Okay, I knew they had few wins. I guess I hadn't extrapolated what the losses could be.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Well, I like to go up and down the extra innings, like say between dinner time, waiting for things to sprinklers to stop, food to be ready, stuff like that. So I'll go up and down the extra innings bit. And I caught Oakland last night with this cat with the last name Sears. Like JD Sears, a pitcher. He's not bad. So, I mean, if they're gutting,
their best player, like their only good player so far has been Brent Rooker.
Oh, Rooker,
who was formerly a Minnesota Twin that has bounced around. I think this is his fourth team.
The Rooker, wow.
Yeah, who was a draft pick, 6 years ago or something like that for the Twins. But the Oakland A's, I think they basically said, well, we're out of here. Let's trash the hotel room. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to stay another night here. We'll just gut the place. Yeah. And now Vegas is kind of like, we're going to make you actually pay for your ballpark, which, not to get like, I guess people will take this as political, but the studies have shown generally that it's a myth that, giving a sports franchise $500 million or $1 billion and paying for their ballpark doesn't really have the economic impact on the neighborhood that people would like to claim. And
it's a transient neighborhood anyway.
Right. And so, obviously people love the neighborhood around Target Field, or they did. Now there's some people who don't like that now, but like I think municipalities or whatever, or cities are starting to come around to the idea of, why are we giving the Oakland A's like $500 million and then letting them keep the ballpark also as an asset? And so, it's an interesting situation.
But if the squads are good, I mean, like with Las Vegas, okay, the Vegas Golden Knights, I mean, they're the cat's ass in Las Vegas.
Right.
Well, they went to the Stanley Cup and lost to Ovechkin in year 2, and they have the medieval feel, and it's right, T-Mobile's right next to New York. So therefore, it's not that far from like Summerlin and Henderson and where people live. But the fact they were good early really matters. Now, why I go down that road is because it's, with the Las Vegas Raiders, they sell out every game. All right. They've been at Allegiant a few years now, but they haven't necessarily been that good.
Although they only have to sell out 8 games, which can be kind of a destination type thing.
No doubt.
Versus baseball, you got to sell 81 games of a team that, at least in Oakland's case, is not going to be good for at least several years. I mean, they have nothing right now.
But here's, I don't want to say it's a problem. They have a long play going with casinos and advertising where, like, say it holds 70,000. Well, they may hit 70 every single game. I ain't kidding you. They might give out 20,000 comps to every single game.
They're paper in the room. That's what they call that in the comedy business.
They're paper in the room. Yeah. So therefore, they're not, Mark Davis is not bringing in what everybody thinks billionaire owners bring in.
But they're trying to make it appear as though it's a destination thing and hard to get tickets, so that if they do get good consistently at some point, then that you kind of fake it till you make it. You know what I mean? Like 5 years from now, maybe they are selling out 70,000. Yeah. I mean, look, I have no doubt that Vegas can support a baseball team at least as well as Oakland has supported a baseball team over the last 20 years or whatever. But part of the problem with Oakland is that stadium is garbage and has been. Yeah. I mean, it's the old.
It's cavernous.
It's the old Raiders played there for a long time.
Oakland Alameda.
It's terrible. And
it's in a terrible part of Oakland.
They also. That's true, too. They also just have not spent anything on the team in 25 years. And it was cute when it was the Moneyball stuff and they were successful. But at some point, people get sick of ranking, 29th in the league in spending. And if you don't consistently win, and they really haven't had any deep playoff runs, they've been very Twins-like in that regard. People just kind of give up. Bad ballpark, mediocre team that doesn't seem to really care about spending. And then you start to toss in the last couple years the sense of...
Have you been?
Yeah, but not for a long, long time.
Okay, well, I mean, it's a shame, too, because if you go to the last row, upper deck left field, and you just turn around and put your back to the field,
yeah,
the view's as good as you're ever going to see.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, you got
like,
Bay Bridge to the right, the city straight ahead, Jack London Square is just off to the left. I mean, it's beautiful.
Before they put, what do they even call it? Davis something. Monument? I don't know. Before they put that giant block of seats, the kind of upper deck block. Yeah, it was a nice look. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I think people will be excited to go to Vegas. I'm just baseball, and look, nobody loves baseball more than me. But I don't know that people in Vegas as tourists are going to be as excited to go to an Oakland A's, Kansas City Royals game in June.
Yeah.
As sort of a, I do think people will plan, like people from Minnesota maybe will plan a weekend.
Oh, if
the Twins are there.
If it's a day game, I mean, if they go to a lot of day games, I mean, that could be a wonderful elixir to not lose all your money.
I feel for, longtime A's fans.
Yeah.
I mean, Minnesotans know this with the North Stars, obviously. Like, it means more to them than it will ever mean to the billionaires who own the team.
Amen.
And are just looking to maximize profits. And once you get that torn away, if you're some 40-year-old person who's been an A's fan for 35 years, even if they someday get an expansion team, which is maybe unlikely at this point, like it's not going to replace that hole in your soul, basically. And I don't know. It sucks that a billionaire who only has owned the team for like 3 years, I think his name's John Fisher, can just come in and go, oh, yeah, we're going to move this thing to Vegas because I can make slightly more money.
Wow.
Potentially. But
now, well, and that's interesting because in sports, expansion is a crush for the owners.
Yeah.
Relocation is not.
True.
So, I mean, that's the fact that it was signed, that the constituents agreed on it is, I would think, a long shot.
In all sports, I mean, the NBA and MLB for sure has used Vegas as sort of this hypothetical, theoretical, well, we could always expand to Vegas.
Yeah.
And so if you fill that, if you check that box with an existing team, then that takes that off the table for expansion. But I do think MLB in the not so distant future will expand from 30 to 32 because, like you said, they do it, and these people pay a massive, huge multi-$100 million fee, and then it just gets distributed among the 30 existing owners, and they're like, I can pocket an extra $40 million or whatever. It's just a lump payment. But yeah, I mean, I think there hasn't been expansion in baseball in a very long time since.
What, the Marlins?
Yeah, I guess Marlins, Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Rockies, Marlins, and then Diamondbacks, Rays. Right. But that was in the 90s. I mean, that was 90, I want to say mid to late 90s with the Rays and the Diamondbacks. So we're talking 20 plus years with no expansion, and really not that much movement of franchises either. So yeah, I think that's probably coming, but the Vegas thing takes that off the hook. But there are people who, Portland, Charlotte, those type of locations always get brought up.
Who do you like the rest of the way in the Denver-Miami series?
Now, I appreciate you asking that because we've established now what a great basketball mind is because you both owe me now $100. I didn't want to say that on the. Oh, it's over.
You won?
Yeah.
Got it.
Because I don't think either of you have the heat. Right? Or you do, but you're so out of this thing.
I forgot I was in the bed.
But is it over, Nordo, or no?
It's pretty close. I haven't seen an update from Power Trip Bets. But
okay, well, we can hold off till it's official.
No, we're flatlining. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Defibrillator's in place, and unless Jim, I think it would take the Heat maybe sweeping.
Sweeping, maybe. Yeah, I haven't looked, but.
So, but we're pretty close to the end.
Yeah, $6.
Here's $6. I owe you $94.
Okay.
Yeah,
payment plan.
I get to charge
$12
on me.
I'll charge you interest for the payment plan.
Well,
but who do I like in this series now?
The rest of the way.
I mean, I would have said Denver coming into it. My opinion maybe changed a little bit last game, but I mean, I give Miami a lot of credit from a coaching standpoint and just a maximizing the talent they have on the roster standpoint. But I still just think Denver is, to me, has the best player in the series. They have the most quality depth in the series. And I don't just mean like role players, but like top starting caliber players. They have 3 or 4 of them. I don't think Miami has 3 or 4 of them. And I just think ultimately it's a cohesive enough unit that they can match the Heat in that. So I think I would still take Denver, but it's much more of a toss-up in my mind than it was coming into the series.
I said this yesterday in closing for the segment. Tell me what you think. When Jokic has a little on him, it's a switch and it's Gabe Vincent, he scores every single time.
Yes.
Okay, well, that'd be like, hey, thank you, Mr. Obvious. But it's not that easy. I mean, do you think Cat can calm down? And like when they do a switch and he has some little on him, elbows don't go flailing. Yeah. He goes too fast. You know what I mean?
Well, that was one of the issues, I think, with at the beginning of the Go Bear Cat thing was the whole premise was, yeah, we might lose a little something in terms of speed and being able to chase guys on the perimeter defensively, but we're going to make up for it by rebounding better than everyone, which proved to be completely inaccurate. They rebounded horribly. And we're going to just punish teams for being too small inside, and they never did an ounce of that either. And I don't know, I mean, comparing Cat to Jokic is unfair because Jokic is, Hall of Famer at this point. But I do think, I'm
just saying one facet.
Yeah.
When there's a switch and you're 4 feet from the basket, which is a coach's job to execute a play that way or drop a play.
Yeah.
And then you get a little, Cat just goes too fast.
I do kind of agree. I think maybe Jokic can't go that fast. So he doesn't really have a choice. He has to kind of keep moves relatively simple. I mean, I think he's a legit kind of basketball savant too, just watching him. But I think Cat gets it on these kind of pump, fake, and go. And even when he gets to the basket, he's half the time in a position to do an offensive foul. And he's always, like you said, kind of out of control. I think Jokic is taking smaller steps and just sort of truly backing somebody down more traditionally. And he punishes them. I thought it was interesting strategic thing that the Heat clearly did coming into game 2, which is well, what if we just let him go off for 40-something?
Yeah.
And we actually guard their perimeter guys so they can't just get wide open corner threes.
Yeah, they put Jamal on a tough game.
And let's see what happens there. I'm curious to see what is the response from Malone and Denver, because does that work consistently, or did that just work once? I don't know that it's a great strategy. It's not like they made him shoot 35 times to score 40.
Right.
I mean, he was still efficient. They're just role players didn't get these wide open looks, which has been so huge for them. So I don't know. I still like Denver, but I like Spoelstra a lot as a coach. And I think if Miami has any chance to win, I do think he will find it.
Now, when we return or at some point during the final hour, there was a recent techie piece at The Athletic that it's incredibly controversial if you read the responses and follow it on Twitter and stuff like that. We'll get into that and more on 9 to noon after this.
This is 9 to noon, live on iHeartRadio and KFAN, The Fan.
KFAN, Total Traffic.
From the Quick Trip Traffic Center, here's a look at the roads. 35W northbound, a stall on the right shoulder at Broadway. We can see it from the jam cam. 94 eastbound, still a tight spot between Manning and Highway 95 with ongoing road work. Highway 10 eastbound slow, Sunfish Lake Boulevard to Greenhaven Road. Construction has things down to 1 lane there. Canceled plans, it's worth it. But act fast. Like your date, it's gone at the end of the summer. Head to Wendy's for a strawberry frosty and that sweet strawberry goodness. Limited time only at participating Wendy's.
Some of those old injuries, they begin to creep up and things begin to start hurting again. I finally got to the point where I'm I can't just wake up and know my knee's going to be bothering me and push through this on a daily basis.
Old football injuries can't keep former college and pro football player Bobby Carpenter down. So he decided to check out the all-natural regenerative pain treatments at QC Kinetics.
I was fortunate enough to obviously sit down with QC and kind of understand your body still has the ability to heal in it. We just need to give it a little bit of a boost.
Exactly. QC Kinetics concentrates your body's own healing agents in your painful hips, shoulders, knees, or back.
Everyone can say, well, you need to replace this or replace that, but it's no surprise to see people being willing to try this first, especially when it has such great results.
QC Kinetics treatments take place the same day right in the office. No downtime. Call today for your complimentary consultation and see if you're a good candidate.
Call QC Kinetics, 612-254-7123. That's 612-254-7123. 612-254-7123.
In this week's Marketers Report, we hear about the importance of local radio from Allison Griffin, Head of Marketing at State Farm.
iHeart has such a broad broadcast reach that is local, and for us to be able to touch customers with a local feel but at a national scale is so efficient and important for us.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, trusted influencers, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
Hey, it's Ted B here. We've now entered my favorite season of the year. That would be fantasy football draft season. I am currently in 2 Best Ball Mania 4 drafts at Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy football. Best Ball Mania 4 is the largest fantasy football tournament of all time. $25 to enter, $15 million in total prizes, $3 million to first place, and it's so easy to play. You just draft your team, then that's it. No waivers, no trades, no in-season management. It's best ball, so Underdog will set the best lineup for you each week of the season. What in the heck are you waiting for? Sign up at UnderdogFantasy.com or via the App Store and use my promo code KFAN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy. Use my promo code KFAN and take your shot at $15 million in Best Ball Mania 4. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. If you're concerned with the play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Minnesota's transportation leader is MTLcompanies.com. They prioritize adding value to their clients while developing creative solutions for all supply chain needs. With over 400,000 square feet of warehouse space, 150 power units, and 900 trailers, you have to visit MTLcompanies.com.
There are many Medicare plans to choose from when you reach 65. Why not take the easy route with UCare? The decomplicators at UCare are your on-ramp when it comes to helping you understand your plan. They have a range of options, and in the end, they might just steer you toward one of their Medicare Advantage plans. They start at a $0 premium, as long as you continue to pay your Medicare Part B premium, and come with extras like dental, prescription eyewear, hearing aid benefits, and coverage when you travel. UCare, people-powered health plans. Shop plans today by visiting ucare.org/easy.
Attention tire shoppers. It's time to save money with employee pricing on tires at Quick Lane, located at Apple Ford, Apple Valley. From now until June 12th, you can snag a brand new set of tires for just $5 over cost, plus a $100 mail-in rebate. Act now to save big on top quality tire brands. Employee pricing expires June 12th. Visit Quick Lane, located at Apple Ford, Apple Valley today.
Hey, it's Chris Hockey. Deciding who to choose to install your new windows, your siding, your roofing, or doors, it's a daunting task. But Dan from Builders and Remodelers made me realize it really comes down to one thing: trust. And I absolutely trust Builders and Remodelers to provide the best quality products at the best price. And right now, save 71% off all labor on any siding, roofing, or doors project. Or get one window free when you buy two. Plus, get no interest for 36 months when qualified. Just go to buildersandremodelers.com for details. Buildersandremodelers.com. Nobody does it better.
What's up? It's a Target trend alert. New swim has just arrived and it's sunny weather approved.
If you're into bikinis or one pieces, high waists or cutouts, they're the perfect combo of trendy, flattering, and affordable.
That's right. And there are so many cool styles with gorgeous details. These suits have macrame, crochet, wood beads, pretty shells, and more. Totally a luxe for less vibe.
Yeah, so dive in and shop this Target trend without the spend.
Now back to PA, live from the 651 Carpets, home of the Next Day Install Studios, on FM 100.3 KFXN Minneapolis, St. Paul. The Fan.
And it's all out there somewhere. You can feel the electricity all the evening. And it may just be more of the same.
9 to noon streaming via our social channels is courtesy of Quantum Fiber. Thank you, Quantum Fiber. You can check out the various shows as part of the Core 4 in streaming fashion via our social channels, courtesy of Quantum Fiber.
Can I just say that Abbott told me in the hallway as I was walking here, hey, you're going to be live streamed today. Glad you look so good. And I went,
you look great.
This is about as good as I'm going to look.
For sure.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be worse. No sweatpants today, at least.
Quantum Fiber. Thank you. Now, we are in a brief holding pattern. Byron Murphy, cornerback for the Minnesota Vikings, will be calling soon. So then we will go from controversial athletic story, incredibly controversial story that you wrote, chat with the 25-year-old corner, and then back, and we'll put a wrap on it if you don't mind. Is that cool?
Sure.
A recent techie piece at The Athletic, and as I mentioned earlier, not only was it ballyhooed, but it drew the ire of some people. It was kind of controversial.
Is that true?
Here's the question. So, how long will the Twins let Max Kepler block Matt Wallner and Trevor Larnach?
Yeah. Well, this is a thing that was once controversial, to be sort of pessimistic about Max Kepler's future outlook, maybe a year ago or 2 years ago.
Well, then you doubled down on it.
But
in
I
your
think
mailbag.
it's become less controversial just because his performance has been so bad pretty consistently now for, like, this is the third straight year, but it's never been this bad. He's hitting, I think, 194 or something like that.
Didn't he get off to a good start before he got hurt?
He had some good numbers not that long ago. Then he got hurt, which also happens to him quite a bit. I think this is the 7th time he's been on the IL in the last 3 years and change. To me, the big difference is, they've stuck with Kepler, I guess I would say, past the point where I would have personally stuck with Kepler, but that's fine. The big difference now is, though, they have Matt Wallner, who crushed in the brief chance he got with the Twins a week and a half ago, and continues to. He just won International League Player of the Week for the Saints. He's hitting, above 300. He's been hitting homers every other game. It's a different situation when you have a struggling player versus when you have a struggling veteran and you have a guy waiting in the wings that is 25 years old and destroying AAA and more than holding his own whenever you give him a brief opportunity to do something in the majors. So to me, that puts it on a whole nother level in terms of criticism or questioning what the front office is doing. It's one thing to say in January, which I did say, that Kepler is a prime trade candidate and it would make sense for them to unload the $9 million contract and get whatever they can and move on to younger guys. Well, now that's kind of played out to fruition where he's struggling. They certainly could have filled a bullpen spot at the very least with the money they spent on Kepler. And now you have two guys in Wallner, especially, and to a lesser extent Larnach, who are deserving of chances. And we're not talking about, some 21-year-old guy who you can say, he needs a little bit more development time at AAA. Wallner's 25, Larnach's 26. These guys are, AAA pitchers do not need to have their brains beat in by these two anymore. Like it's enough. So I'm very curious what the Twins do. I think keeping Kepler was mostly about maintaining as much outfield depth as they could following a season where injuries wrecked their outfield completely. And I totally get that. But now we're in June and the offense is struggling and Max Kepler has had no signs whatsoever of being the guy he was in 2019. It's been 3 years now of him being a below average hitter, and you have two guys just kind of biding their time in St. Paul who are deserving. So I think that's one of the bigger issues with the Twins. I don't think they're just going to release Kepler. I mean, an opinion doesn't change that much in 3 months, but it is a situation where he's blocking, at the very least, guys who have a more future value to the Twins. And I think you can, for the first time, make a very clear argument that they probably have more present value than him too.
Does it, so when I hear people or read things, I guess it would be on social media, and say the Twins get meatloafed by Cleveland. Or
they split, by the way. Cleveland was a 4-game series.
4-gamer, my bad.
They lost the last two, though. You're right
Thank
about
you. So they split there, whatever. But they had that long SoCal week, and they got meatloaf twice.
Yep.
Where it's not bad, it's not great. I mean, it's middling. Okay,
Yes.
But it's in, as people like to point out frequently, the worst division in Major League Baseball, and I understand that. But I also recognize that the Twins can't control what front offices are doing with other teams in the division. You only play who Abner Doubleday puts in front of you on the schedule, and then you go win it. And so, I mean, it may be.
But it's the go win it part that I think people have an issue with. Like the Twins are not taking advantage of their.
What are they up 3?
Yeah, I mean, they're up 3 in the worst division in 10 years.
Yeah.
They're 2 games above 500 heading into a 3-game series in Tampa. Yep. They could very easily just be below 500 after this thing.
Okay.
I think the sense is...
Well, what I'm getting at is it doesn't matter how you get to the winner's circle, as long as you get there.
Yeah, but people said that last year and how'd that work?
Right.
They were up all year last year in a horrible division.
Yeah.
And it was, hey, they're up 4 games. What's the big problem? Well, the big problem is Cleveland got its act together a little bit and caught him immediately and passed him very quickly.
Elite point, because with Jimenez and Ramirez and the Naylor and these cats who just aren't hitting, And Bieber got killed last. I mean, and Shane Bieber's good, but he got killed in his last start.
And
Big
yet
deal.
they're only, I think, 3.5 back of the Twins.
See,
so
that's an elite box you just put me in, because I would trust the names I just mentioned, plus we could put 2 more in there. They will hit.
Right.
And when they do hit, if they pass you, well, then you wasted all of these months with an opportunity to open up 10. So I guess
if you're in a race, like you're running a marathon, and you just come out of the gates and you're just jogging, and the people behind you literally fall down out of the gates, you can say to yourself, well, it doesn't matter. I guess I'll just keep jogging. I'm ahead of them. But then you also have to think, well, if they actually get up on their feet and they start running, they're going to pass me eventually. And so I think watching this Twins team, you're absolutely right that, they can't control how bad the division is, but they can take advantage of a very ideal circumstance of all 4 of the other teams are below 500.
Mm-hmm.
The division aside from them, I think, is like 42 or 43 games below 500. Nobody's on pace for even 75 wins. The Twins are on pace for 84 wins.
Wow.
Now, when you're on pace for 84 wins and you're in first place, people go, well, big deal. You're in first place. What are we criticizing?
Yeah.
If you're on pace for 84 wins and you're in 4th place or 5th place, as they would be in several other divisions, including the AL East, it's a completely different story. And so I think it cuts both ways. My worry with the Twins is what people talked about. This is going to sound like a very odd comparison.
No, these are elite boxes you're presenting.
With the Golden State Warriors every year, it was, they were mediocre. But once they get to the playoffs, they'll just flip that switch. Well, the Twins have no winning history there.
Yep.
And so the idea of, well, they're kind of cruising along. They're barely above 500, but they're still in first place. At some point, they'll put it together and surge ahead. Well, maybe. But maybe at some point, Cleveland or the White Sox or even Detroit will put together a 3-week stretch where they go, 10-5, and then all of a sudden they're going to be neck and neck with the Twins. So I think that's what has people the last several years. I mean, let's be honest. The AL Central's been a horrible division for basically its entire existence. Yeah. And I'm not taking away from division titles won during that circumstance. Like you said, you can only play who you have to play. But I think you can judge a team by their overall performance as opposed to just going, well, they're in first place.
Yeah.
Like that, to me, that can't wipe over all negativity.
That's lazy. No, but what I was getting at is if the right players are healthy, I mean, with Buxton and Polanco and Correa and so on, and then the obvious pitchers and the obvious relievers, is when you have players that are gifted the way these players are, and then all of a sudden that grind against mediocrity was done, and you're here, it gives you an opportunity to at least spread your wings and maybe have that talent come out.
I mean, the path is wide open for them to win this division by 10 double-digit games.
Yep.
I mean, easily. They have the talent to do it. I think on paper they are clearly the most talented team in the division. I just wonder, it's not so much playing down to your opponents. I just think it's letting your opponent kind of hang around. And we see this all the time. I mean, I love basketball. You see this all the time in basketball. The Wolves did this constantly in the early part of the season. They'd be playing like Portland, San Antonio, one of these tanking teams. And they'd get to the third quarter and it was a tie game. And I'm sure the Wolves are looking around and going, all right, well, now's the time we put them away.
Yeah.
Well, you can't always put them away because what if they play well for a quarter? Then you're in trouble.
That happened late season at home against Portland.
Right.
Which was down Lillard.
Yeah, they barely were putting out a G League team basically that
and
game.
Portland won.
Yes.
I mean, they had a guy who hadn't played in like 3 years or something.
Stuff happens in sports, and the Twins saw it firsthand last year. They were decimated by injuries, and Cleveland actually put a 6-week stretch together and flew past them on the way to the division title. And I'm not saying that's going to happen again. I think Cleveland. I mean, you talk to Cleveland people, and they view that team as way more flawed than even Twins fans are viewing the Twins. So you need to have some context for it. But I just think when you're in a situation where you've played roughly 500 baseball for 60 games and you're still 3 or 4 games up on a horrendous division, I do think it's fair to look around and say, man, we should be up 8 games. We should be up 9 games. And you're not giving yourself the padding that was kind of available to you. With that said, the Twins pitching, especially their starting pitching, has been fantastic.
Yeah.
This is the best rotation they've had. I mean, I've been covering the team for 20 years. Maybe the Johan Santana prime rotation with like the end of Brad Radke and Kyle Loesch and Carlos Silva. Maybe that was a little bit on par just because Johan was so great. But just in terms of quality depth, this is the best Twins rotation, and I would say minimally 2 decades. I still have some questions about the bullpen, but the real problem, the real thing that's keeping them at 500 is just the lack of consistent output from a lineup that, like you said, has all kinds of stars and big names and well-paid players, but they're just not coming through.
Great seeing you. See you next week.
See you, Pia.
That's the techie. He's AG from hardball to football. and very happy to meet this guy.
He's got the ball. Quick throw left side. Renfro with a catch. And he breaks one tackle. Then the ball comes out. It's loose. And it's picked up by the Cardinals in midfield. It's picked up by Byron Murphy at the 40, at the 30, at the 20, at the 10. Ball game! Byron Murphy picks up the ball at midfield, returns it for a touchdown, and the Cardinals win. No flags. What an unbelievable finish here in Vegas.
That's Dave Pash in the Cardinals Radio Network. Welcome back to 9 to noon and the Minnesota Vikings home and their radio network. Happy to be joined by Byron Murphy Jr., who is a cornerback for the Minnesota Vikings, signed via free agency. Got a nice little 2-year piece, and he'll be a starter for a defense looking to rebound. Byron, my name is Paul Allen. Good to meet you.
How you doing, Paul? Nice to meet you.
Pretty good, man. And, you know, the producer, mad producer, he dropped that highlight in. I didn't know what he was going to play. But I'll never forget that moment, man, because it was week 2 last year, and the Vikings are at Philadelphia to play a Monday night football game. So you know how that works when you got a Monday night game and you get in on Sunday. I mean, you got some nice chill time when you get there and everything. And I think I was at a restaurant or something like that, and they had that game on. And it was an unbelievably incredible game with some of the plays that were made in the fourth quarter, and then with that game winner. Isaiah Simmons, I mean, the play he made to free that for you, and then you walked off and won the game. Hey, I know you're purple and gold now, but that has to be one of the highlights of your career, right?
Oh, no, most definitely. You know, obviously, me trying to make some more plays and, you know, that type of thing, but that play just, you know, stuck to me. To this day, still going to stick with me, but, you know, that opportunity to go somewhere, you know, obviously playing away kind of is difficult. But at times, you know, those plays that come to you, you have to make. So, like I said before, I got to shout out Isaiah Simmons. He made a play, hit the guy, the ball came out, and I was able to pick it up and scoop it and then get the W for my team. So, you know, that moment would never, you know, lose sighting or notice to me, because that was just a very special moment. For my team as well.
Yeah, this is like Arizona Cardinals fan line, because I'm not done with that, because I just remember it so vividly. You know, and I'm not one to really, I just know, you know, calling games for this team 21 years, I just really know how hard it is to even get one season under your belt. So therefore, I'm not one to tease or rip players frequently and stuff like that. So when I say this about Kyler, you know, they're a couple of years ago when we were down there, and I think Harrison Smith came on a middle blitz, and then Kyler from his back foot chucked it up over the middle. Christian Kirk caught it. Mackenzie Alexander got beat on the 0 blitz, and that helped you guys win the game. But Kyler will throw punts every so often. He'll throw those high things that just fall in the arms of Kirk, Hopkins, Rondale Moore, whomever. Now, in that game that we're talking about, oh, my heavens, he was throwing lasers late in that game. He had a touchdown pass, or did he run it in for 2 or something, where I'm like, Kyler, look at you go, man.
Man, yeah, he did both of those. Threw the touchdown pass to AJ, then that last play, you know, scrambling around for about 45 seconds and then finally get into the end zone. But, yeah, that type of play as well kind of set me up to make the play I had. So you definitely got to shout out K1 for that. And, you know, just the mental game part of it, him staying locked into the game. Him, you know, just being on the sideline, making sure, you know, everybody's still good. So definitely got to shout Kyler out, too, because he put me in the defense in position to get back on that field and get a stop the way we did. It was just unbelievable.
Byron Murphy Jr., new cornerback for the Minnesota Vikings, 9 to noon. Really, really happy to meet him and kind of do a covenant catch-up here during organized team activities in front of mandatory minicamp and training camp and the preseason, whole thing. A couple of joint practices, too. Now, you guys have the 49ers here on Monday Night Football. And the reason I ask you that is because you had played Kyle Shanahan's offense with Debo and George Kittle and now McCaffrey and stuff like that so frequently. How tricky is it playing defense against the 49ers offense?
You know, the biggest thing for me is, you know, obviously getting to play the 49ers twice a year. So going those games by game to see what, you know, new game plan they put in or what type of, you know, other thing they're trying to beat our defense in. But I just feel like overall that offense is just, you know, they do a lot of good things as far as, you know, motioning, getting guys' eyes lost. They use their top guys in specific things. You know, obviously they got guys for this and that, but they got guys that they use that do, you know, obviously great things, like I said. But that type of offense, you just got to be on your P's and Q's and make sure like you have your communication going before the snap, knowing that they're going to be moving in. They're going to be moving around and stuff like that, running the ball, passing ball, play action, all those type of things. So just knowing that type of offense, you can't really prepare for one thing. You got to be prepared for everything going against that type of offense.
Did you at U.S. Bank Stadium last year? I mean, that game where Cousins turned the corner looking like he was Fran Tarkenton and ran in from like 18 yards. I mean, Kirk turned the corner. I almost went nuts on the microphone when he planted and turned a corner. But nevertheless, Patrick Peterson was so emotional after that game. Did you get a chance to see him after the game?
I definitely got to see him after the game, talk to him a little bit, and I actually got his jersey. But, just to see that energy, I knew that coming into this game that Pat P, Jordan Hicks' energy was going to be insane. Obviously coming to their home field where they play at now, leaving the Arizona Cardinals, that's kind of a different football feeling. It's a different feeling for a football player. So that excitement's probably going to be at the next level, the energy, all those type of things. So I'm probably bring that, that dog outside of you. And then obviously after the game, energy was still there. They got the win. I was mad about the win at that time, but hey, I'm here now, so I'm glad we won. but hey, but Pat P, great dude, great mentor to me. His energy was ridiculous that game. I would never forget that game as well, obviously, because that's my big brother. To see him leave, still watching him and watching all the things he do.
Hey, you being a Scottsdale, Arizona native, I mean. Now I know you went to UW, so you're playing for the Huskies. So you have left in the first place, but then you're drafted by your home state team. And so I mean, was it weird at all when it was kind of like, man, I don't know if you look at it like they didn't want you there or somebody wanted you more, but you had to leave your home state, man.
I just feel like for me, at the time, obviously being from Arizona, going back to Arizona, that was the biggest blessing I could ask for. Obviously it got me into the position that I am now and what I want to do my whole life. So it's always, the Arizona is always, home, obviously. But that's always the love that's still there. It kind of wanted to clear some things. I see some people, commenting this and that about me, saying stuff about Arizona. It's never that. It's never me talking bad about anything. It's just, for myself, this is a better position here, I feel, for myself, better situation for myself, as how the game goes. This is a business. That's how things go. But as far as, the Arizona, man, it's still family. All them guys there in that locker room, still my brothers for life. Coaches, loved all the coaches there, but everybody there just loved it. Just wasn't the right fit, I would say, place for me at that time.
Well, Byron, I love joint practices. Like we had the Niners here last year. We had Denver here the year before. Well, we got two this year, as you know, with the Titans and your former team, Arizona, where, I mean, the 2-day joint practices with Arizona, those are going to be unbelievable because you're going to play closer to full speed in training camp than you probably ever have played. And then on the other side, their coach, Jonathan Gannon, was the assistant DB's coach here. Their offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing, used to coach multiple positions here for Kevin Stefanski and Gary Kubiak. So they're going to come back to this facility, and they're going to try to bring it at you guys. I mean, this is going to be unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the type of intensity I think we need to start off with. And obviously, them guys coming down here know how great this place is, so they could come here. And then obviously, we're going to see what happens next. I'm just, excited and looking forward to that practice, that joint practice. In my career, I've only had one joint practice, and it was fun. So, like I said, looking forward to, more. But obviously, the Cardinals coming here, that's the biggest one I'm looking at for right now.
Right, but you got to be smart, obviously. I mean, you don't want to mess something up in a joint practice, trying to have pride be the better part of valor against your former squad. Then all of a sudden, we're using a bunch of kids in the secondary against Tampa Bay.
Oh, no. It's going to be the same situation. The energy's going to be there, but it's always, make sure you're doing everything right. We're going out there to compete, not, treat it like it's game day. So making sure I take care. We, as a defense, going to take care of their offense. They're all, it goes back and forth, that type of situation. But the energy level, it's going to be a little bit turned up down here.
Hey, last couple here, man, and I really appreciate the conversation. Now, you're 25 years of age, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, so is Joejuan Williams, who the team got from New England. But you're like 10 months older than him. So whether it's a Caleb, Andrew Booth Jr., Blackman, whomever it is, anybody drop a grandpa bomb on you yet? You're the oldest guy in the. You're the oldest guy in the room, man.
They haven't really said too much old stuff, grandpa stuff yet. Just because, like you said, I'm only 25. Some of these guys, around my same age as me, I don't feel like a full vet yet. I still got a lot of time left. But obviously, I am on year 5, but I'm only 25, so I just still feel like that vet role hasn't hit me yet. I don't think it will yet until I get some more stuff accomplished in my career that I want to do. And obviously every day coming here and show the young guys what it's all about and help them out. But that role, that vet role, I definitely want to take that role in our room because I have a lot of experience, got to play, nickel and outside. So all that knowledge I know got passed down to me. I'm always going to make sure I pass down to the young guys. All
right, Spearfish Sammy, media relations guy who's right next to you, he's telling me we have to wrap this up. So I'm going to get one in real quickly. You love to hit. Yep. You love to hit. And I know you love to hit, and I've known that about you all of your career. It's not like you can't cover, but you're scrappy, man. And, it's like coming into the league, how many times did you hear undersized, short arms, small hands? It's like, cool, go ahead and measure my heart because I know you like to hit. Exactly. Which means you just have to love playing in a Brian Flores defense, don't you?
Oh, man. Yes, sir. That's the biggest thing. Like you said, I like to go, try to put this helmet somewhere on somebody, but his physicality about this defense and all those type of things, just, that's the stuff I love and like to do. And like you said, I've been told, you're small my whole life since I was a baby, but my heart, like you just said, my heart bigger than me. And I'm gonna bring my hat every time, no matter what. But I'm working on, getting my weight up right now. So we'll be back soon.
Hey, you're terrific, and I look forward to meeting you in person. Tell Sam Newton 9 to noon says thank you. God bless you, young man, and stay healthy. Okay.
Yes, sir. God bless you. Nice to meet you as well.
You too. Bye-bye. That's Byron Murphy Jr., cornerback for the Minnesota Vikings.
You're listening live to Paul Allen at 9 to noon.